Backwoodsman Institute. My name's Scott Fromey. Well, it's inevitable. I got into some poison ivy. No matter how hard I try to avoid it, every year I get into it, at least several times maybe. There's certain precautions you can take to try and avoid coming down with a severe case of it. Some people are highly allergic to it, and it don't take much contact to cause a little bit of an outbreak of poison ivy. And some people, not so much. But almost everybody I know has some type of reaction to poison ivy. Now, what causes you to have a reaction is poison ivy has on it a type of oil. And if that oil gets on your skin, that's what you have an allergic reaction to. For instance, like for me, I usually get it in the softer tissues, like in between my fingers, around my waistline. It depends. More times than not, I'm grabbing stuff or weeding or something, and I get it on my hands and maybe don't realize it, and I get it in between my fingers. Let me show you a little bit, a minor case of what poison ivy would look like on you if you get in contact with it. I don't know if you can see that or not, but right in there, it's blistered up a little bit. There's some blisters that form up there. What happened is I got into some poison ivy, and I came out with this a little bit on inside of one of my fingers. I got everything else washed off and taken care of. I didn't know I had it till I woke up one night and I was scratching, and I realized, dang, I might have got poison ivy. And actually, it healed itself up on one side of the finger, but because I busted the blisters open, it kind of transferred to another side of a different finger. So you got to really watch with poison ivy that when you bust open the blisters, you can actually transfer that to another part of your body. So you got to be careful with that. There's some different types of things to kind of lessen the effects of poison ivy. First of all, you're having an allergic reaction to it. I take a 24-hour antihistamine. I'm allergic to grass and grass pollen. So when hay cutting time and a lot of the hay is pollinating, that's pretty hard on my allergies. So I'm taking that antihistamine anyways. And by doing that, taking a 24-hour antihistamine, it's staying in your system so that it's always there. You don't wait till you have an allergic reaction to something to take it to try and fend it off. You don't have near the reaction to it because it's already in your body. So by doing that, lessens the effect of it. One way not to get it is to avoid it. In order to avoid it, you're going to have to know what it looks like. And that seems to be probably the most asked question I get from my students in 4-H and shooting sports and hunter ed is, what does poison ivy look like? What I got behind me here is poison ivy. I'm going to go ahead and pan into that and give you a close-up look at that. Okay, here's what poison ivy actually looks like. It's got 3 leaves. 1, 2, 3. And it grows in like an ivy, like a vine, usually like vines up a tree and stuff. So poison ivy is this right here. Poison ivy has more of a plain leaf. Poison oak has a similar effects to poison ivy, but it's got kind of lobes on the leaves. But like I said, it's set up as 3. 3 leave it be. Remember that. 3 leave it be. Let me see if I can't find some poison oak around here and pan into the poison oak. But you can see that the leaves are kind of smooth around the end. Some of these are starting to kind of lobe out a little bit, but usually poison ivy and poison oak, I've been told, is pretty well the same thing. Let me go ahead and pan into some poison oak. Okay, here's what an example of maybe poison oak would look like. You can see kind of the kind of starting to look like an oak leaf on this. So basically poison ivy and poison oak, for your practical purposes, is the same thing. Like I said, it has the same effect on you. So poison ivy, poison oak, 3 leave it be. Let me show you why 3 leave it be is a pretty distinctive way of telling what it is. Okay, let me show you a plant that most people mistake for poison ivy. This plant here, it's got more than 3 leaves. It's got 5 leaves, 2 smaller ones and 3 larger ones. This plant is not poison ivy, it's Virginia creeper. Most people think, hey, it's poison ivy, so they try and avoid it, or they got a question, is this poison ivy? Is this going to... No. And A lot of people think, oh, I'm not allergic to poison ivy. Look, I can touch this stuff and I won't break out. Well, yeah, you won't break out on nothing like this. This isn't poison ivy, Virginia creeper. It's not, doesn't have 3 leaves, 5 leaves. So you see this vine, and a lot of times it's growing in amongst the poison ivy. And it grows up a tree and stuff just like poison ivy. So like I said, it's probably the most mistaken plant. Most people think that this is poison ivy, but it's not. It's Virginia creeper. Okay, you know you came in contact with poison ivy, so what do? Well, there's a plant out there that neutralizes the effects of the oil from the poison ivy plant. Now remember, like I said, the oil is what you have allergic reaction to, which causes the rash. So the juice from the jewelweed plant neutralizes that oil. So if you can find you a jewelweed plant, usually it grows, you know, in wetter areas of a woods, but a lot of times, you know, it's pretty common in the wooded areas. Wherever there's poison ivy, there's usually, you know, our creator planted jewelweed somewhere in that vicinity. So what, you just take the jewelweed and smash it up and smear that juice and stuff. You know, if you got it on your hands in between, just kind of smear that juice on your skin, and that'll neutralize the oil. Now, it's kind of hard to identify jewelweed now. What I'll do later on is I'll have a whole different video on jewelweed, because there's more ways to use jewelweed than just for poison ivy. So, like I said, you know what poison ivy looks like. Try to avoid it if you can. You know, like I said, if you're out in the woods and you know, you got to get that oil off of you. If you can use soap and water and wash it off, that's great. But let's say you're out in the woods and you touch it and you're really no way of getting it anywhere, you know, in any near future, you know, next hour or so to wash your hands off or wash where you contacted poison ivy. Find your jewelweed plant, smear that on there, and that'll neutralize the oil. Another way is if you know you're allergic to it, and like I said, contact is inevitable, you might want to try taking a 24 antihistamine or carrying, you know, some type of allergy medicine with you. So that's pretty well the gist of the poison ivy. Like I said, it's out there. If you're going to be an outdoors person and you're going to be out in it, it's inevitable. Just get it in your head, hey, I want to come in contact with it sooner or later. There's certain things that I can carry with me or keep in mind to lessen the severity of the outbreak. So it's just something we got to deal with. Remember, 3, leave it be. That's the motto. Catch you out in the woods.